What's up guys, Bottai Pigs for Life here, and today we're here with part 1 of our 4-year anniversary special. That feels absolutely insane to say. So, as you guys can clearly see, we are in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and specifically we are on the Isla Nublar 1993 map, because today we are going to be making a secret hybrid facility. However, we're going to add a twist to it. It is not going to be just any hybrid facility. It is going to be an abandoned one. So what I want to do is right in the center of the map, I want to build an abandoned research compound. So I'm going to add all sorts of hatcheries, all sorts of science-y buildings. And so the idea is right in the center of it, we are also going to build an encampment of some sorts, because the idea is there was a scientist who had this facility up and running, and for whatever reason it became abandoned. And after it was abandoned, a team of scientists came to the island to sort of research the fauna, research the ecology that has been established after the site was abandoned. So then one thing I also want to do is I'm going to use a couple of non-hybrid species, but particularly I'm going to use some of the species that have the Lhotse trait. So I'm going to do Parasaurolophus, but then also down here I'm going to have a Lagoon section for both Nothosaurus and Styxosaurus. So the idea is before the person in charge started making hybrids, he first did some experiments with regular dinosaurs. So he did some bioluminescence experiments with the Parasaurolophus, the Nothosaurus, the Styxosaurus. But one other species that I'm going to include is the Deinonychus, solely because of the tadpole look to it. So then, one last thing before we officially get started is basically up here we're going to do like a forest and valley type of area. So I'm thinking like over here, like deep in the forest, I want to do like a Scorpius Rex area. Then there's going to be an area with like a mix of like valley and forest. That will be for Deinonychus, Parasaurolophus, Stegosaurus, and Ankylodocus. And then over here we'll do an Indominus Rex nest. Or not even a nest, just like Indominus Rex territory. And then down here we're going to have a bit of a wetland. That is going to be for Spinoceratops, more Parasaurolophus, Indoraptor, and Spinoraptor. So, without any further talking, let's get right into it. So what I want to do is let's start with the Lagoon section. So that's going to go right over here. I'm going to add in pretty big lagoon area. I do sort of like the decrepit look of the Malta hatchery, but at the same time, I like how this one seems more utilitarian, the Jurassic World one. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take the demolished cosmetic, and now it's completely destroyed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the Biosyn power plant, because what I want to do is I want to sort of connect that up to the research station over here. So then for the arrival point, what we're also going to do is we're going to have the DFW arrival point, because this is like the helipad. And then once we add in the path, then we will fence this all in, and of course I will add in all sorts of like decorations and stuff. What I might even do is like over here I might do like some sand make this look a little bit more like a coastal area. There we go. Or even what we could do is, like here, this will sort of blend into like the swampy area. And then for the fence, we're gonna want it nice and highly secured. Perfect. So then over here, I might do a little bit of forest to sort of blend the beach with the rest of the forest. And especially over here. There we go. Okay guys, so one idea that you'll see that I had for the arrival point was to add in a little bit of an airstrip. So I would imagine that the scientists would use this airstrip in order to bring some supplies that they would need to manage this facility. So those supplies might include food for the staff, care and medical supplies for both the staff and the animals, etc, etc. And so one thing you'll see that I am doing is I am laying down all sorts of decorations, and especially the packing containers. You'll definitely see this becoming a bit of a pattern as we continue working on the facility. Okay, I'd say that that looks pretty nice. So then for over here, here's what I'm thinking. So it's definitely going to be mostly DFW and Jurassic World buildings with a handful of Biosyn. So what I might do is I might do like one of each hatchery. Just trying to figure out like a bit of a building palette. Yeah, I like that. Then for some of the other buildings, I like this. I like the look of this. DFW, I'm thinking this looks pretty good, especially with the water tower. Then ooh, paleomedical facility. I like the Jurassic World one the best. And then I also want to get a Jurassic World research facility. Let's move these into the corner for now. So basically, here's the idea that I'm going for. We're going to use the DFW response facility as sort of like the research team. That's going to go smack in the middle of everything. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have path go out, and I'm going to do the trick where you get the gate onto the path. And we're going to use the Jurassic Park gate that we got for the JP30 update. And then one thing I also want to do is I want to use the DFW hotels as sort of like the encampment of the people who are here studying the hybrids. Actually, nah, we'll get rid of the large one, because what I also want to do is I want to use a backup generator to make it look like it was like hastily put together. And then also in this area we can do all sorts of tents. We can do one of those. Okay, that looks good. And then, what I want to do is I want to take the, DFW fence, because the DFW fence looks like it's been hastily put together. So this is the encampment of the people who are here studying the dinosaurs. And then everything else is going to be part of what was once the hybrid research plant. So now, one thing I do think would be cool is if over here we had sort of like a goat farm. Because this is where they would have raised the food for the animals. So then now what we're going to do is we're going to have an area going all around the perimeter that's supposed to act as like a buffer zone. So then, like I had mentioned, this area is going to be goat farm. So I'm thinking one thing that would be cool is if right here we had like a little bit of like a barn, or not even a barn, but just like a little shelter for them. I'm thinking like right here would be good for like a little shelter for them. And then surrounding the entire area, we'll use multi-wall pieces. And then here, you're gonna have like the illusion for my fellow Evolution Square watchers, that something happened. Maybe there was like a tree that fell. Maybe it was a dinosaur. Who knows? But regardless, what we're going to do now is we're going to make it... We're going to start with dirt. And we're going to do a little bit of sand. And then one thing is that goats kind of like to climb things. So, because of that, we're going to give them just a couple of little climbing rocks. You know, so that way they have a bit of an enriching life. Okay, so now over here, we're going to add some ground cover. And then we're going to add a couple trees. Perfect. Oh yeah, and of course we need to add the goat feeders. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a moment now to fill all these areas with path. Alrighty, so much like we did with the arrival point, we start by filling in all of the empty space with a ton of path before adding loads and loads of utilitarian decorations. Only one thing you'll notice about the main compound is that we have a lot more space to work with than we did for the arrival point. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to add that little goat farm, was so that way we could sort of break up the concrete jungle a little bit. And so now we're on to adding some decorations. And thankfully we have a wide selection to use from. So, of course, we have all of the packing containers and the storage units, but I was also able to add in a couple of watchtowers, some floodlights, some communication towers, as well as lots of equipment to transport the dinosaurs. So there were a lot of different cages that I used. I also used a lot of the Malta decorations to give the facility this more abandoned look. And two of the decorations that I especially love are the sort of rusty looking trailer that looks all old and abandoned, but I also love the sort of abandoned water tower. I feel like that screams utilitarian, if you ask me. Alright, I must say, this looks pretty good. Now all we have left to do is make this look all nice and abandoned. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the Malta wall pieces, some of the like more decrepit looking ones, make it look like it's been destroyed, and that is why they have to set up an entirely new camp. It's because the fence has been obliterated by some dinosaur, and also the gates are busted. Perfect! That looks great. So, now that we've got this all perfectly set up, now it's time we plan out exactly where the dinosaurs are going to go. So right over here, I'm thinking we're going to do a very spooky corner for the Scorpius Rex. Right over here, E for Deinonychus. This all will be the Herbivore Valley. And then right over here, we'll do the Indominus Rex territory. So now that we've got that kind of planned out, what I want to do really quick is I want to plan out what was supposed to be all of the dinosaur enclosures. Okay guys, so as we are planning out what would have been the actual dinosaur enclosures, I just wanted to quickly mention that this year we are trying to reach 175 subscribers before the end of 2025. So if you're enjoying this video so far, then please make sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel to see some more videos just like this one. Not only will it help me reach my goal, but it'll also help the YouTube algorithm recommend videos that you might like. And as always, by taking the time to watch this video, you are showing me a tremendous amount of support. So because of that, thank you all so much for watching this video. So now, back to the time-lapse. So what I decided to do is I decided to add in some of the Biosyn watchtowers to put into the enclosure, like that the scientists would have a safe way of viewing the dinosaurs. And so what I'm doing to make the fence look broken down, to make it look like the hybrids have wreaked some havoc, is I am using the Malta wall pieces to make it once again look abandoned. So because the wall pieces are a lot shorter, you have this illusion that the fence has been crumbled down and that the dinosaurs can easily hop over the fence to have access to the entire island, but in reality, they are able to stay in their designated areas. Okay, perfect. Now, everything looks like it has been at least somewhat damaged. The dinosaurs, we can pretend that they can hop over. But other than that, they really can't. So, now, let's actually get into making the habitats. So what I want to do, essentially, is... this is all going to be forest. All along the back. Also going to be a lot of forest. And especially over here, because again, this is going to be the deep, dark Scorpius Rex area. And then over here, to sort of emphasize that, more soil. Since it's deep, it's dark, it's spooky. And then, let's add a couple of abandoned watchtowers. Because the idea is that these would be where the Scorpius Rex nest. And then in here would have been like the Scorpius Rex enclosure. So of course, I want to make it a little bit bare bones. Like, I want to make it look like they've been cutting corners. Because they have been, realistically. So, a little thing of water, and we'll do a couple more goat feeders. Boom, boom, and boom. So that's one habitat. And honestly, you know what? Let's make pretty much all the habitats look like this. So yeah, all of the enclosures, or what was supposed to be the enclosures, are fully fleshed out. And by fully, I mean a couple corners were cut. And then might add a little bit of soil over here. Maybe a little bit of sand. Okay, so now that we've got these all set up, now let's do the actual habitats. So Scorpius Rex is all set. Nice and forested. Deinonychus, I'm thinking I want it to be sort of forested back here, and then eventually it sort of bleeds into like grassland, sort of. So like over here would be where the Deinonychus would nest, hypothetically speaking, and then over here it sort of bleeds into some grassland. Okay guys, I have to start by saying that this area over here that I'm working on now has to be one of, if not the best environments that I have ever made in Jurassic World Evolution 2. So one thing I decided to do is I decided to switch where the Indominus Rex and the Deinonychus were gonna go, because that area that I worked on just now is a lot larger and it just fits a whole lot better for the Indominus Rex. And this area over here that is a little bit more grassland but has got some pockets of forest is perfect for the Deinonychus. So now you can see that we're working on the swampy area. So this is where Spinoceratops, Parasaurolophus, Indoraptor, and Spinoraptor are gonna go. And one thing I was able to do for this area is I was able to use the water to hide the invisible fence, much like Evolution Squared does in a lot of her parks. And then where the fence sort of has the dead end, I was able to add some rocks. And so now all we have to do is in the grassland and the swampy areas, I just had to add in some more foliage. And now all our environments are finished. Alrighty, this looks absolutely perfect. Oh yeah, we do have to do one more thing, and that is to add couple more rocks all along here. Okay, that looks perfect. So now, all we really have left to do is add in the dinosaurs. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly hop into the species viewer because I want to show you exactly what I want to do for each dinosaur. Okay guys, so here I am in the species viewer, and what I did for each species is I chose either one skin color and two pattern colors, or one pattern color and two skin colors, so that way we could have a little bit of dimorphism going on. So to start with the Ankylodocus, I chose the Amazon rainforest pattern as sort of like this vibrant blue, because since they're so huge, they wouldn't really have a need to camouflage because, well, they're huge. So what I did is for the males, I chose the Chalcorana pattern, and for the females, I chose the Paparana pattern. For the Deinonychus, what I did is I decided to go with the nostalgic Jurassic World Evolution 1 null skin. So I did the Sonoran Desert Rana as the very original skin from the first game. But what I decided to do is I took inspiration from modern day cardinals, where the males are this bright red, and then the females are sort of like a more pale cream brown type of color. For the Indominus Rex, I chose the Amazon rainforest because I love the bright green. And then for the females, I chose the Rana pattern. And for the males, I chose the Paparana pattern because of the vibrant blue on the snout. Absolutely love it. For Indoraptor, I chose the Death Valley, and then for the patterns, I chose between Chalcorana as the male and Pulcherana as the female. Very subtle difference, but I think it's enough of a difference to tell the males and the females. For the Nothosaurus, I decided to choose the Great Sandy Desert skin, and I chose between these two Lux patterns. I'd imagine this would be the male, this would be the female. For Parasaurolophus, we're literally just using Lux 1 and Lux 2. For Spinoceratops, I took some more inspiration from modern day animals, and specifically the hippopotamus. So because of that, I have this dark purple from the Gambia River Basin skin color, and then for the females, I have lithobates, and for the males, I have the Lux. For Spinoraptor, again, more inspiration from living animals. This time, I took some inspiration from great blue herons. So you've got this gray color combined with lithobates for the females and Lux for the males. For Stegoceratops, this time I chose one pattern, that being the Lux, and then I chose Yukon River to be the females, and I chose the darker brown Svalbard for the males. For Styxosaurus, I chose the Svalbard skin color, so that way you have that sort of shading that you have with modern day whales, where you've got the darker colors on the top, you've got the lighter colors on the bottom, and then I've got a mix between these two Lux patterns. This would be the female, this would be the male. So now, the Scorpius Rex is a little bit different, because in Camp Cretaceous, the Scorpius Rex has the ability to reproduce without a mate. So because of that, there really is no need for a male variant. So because of that, I just chose this skin. It's a little bit more on the simple end, but because of the darker green tone, it has more of an ability to blend in with the dense, thicket, and especially in an ecosystem where it is not the top predator, this is well needed. So we've got base of Salardo Huasco, and then we've got Rana as the pattern. Alright, so one last thing that I had to do that I nearly forgot about was I had to fully decorate the lagoon. So I started by adding some kelp and some platforms for the Nothosaurus. I added a little bit of coral, and I also got to use some of the sunken boats and dinosaur cages that I never would have used in the future of Hammond's Dream. So now, to finish this video, I'm going to add a couple minutes of cinematics of the entire island. So, with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If so, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see some more Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution 2 content. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Yeah.